Welcome to Girls Gone Hallmark, a Hallmark review podcast. I'm Megan, and I'm a longtime Hallmark movie fan.
I'm Wendy. I'm a former Hallmark hater.
Today, we're discussing Chicken Sisters Episode 1, Family is Family, streaming exclusively on the brand new launched Hallmark Plus. Outside of this podcast, you can find us on Instagram. We have 2 accounts there, Girls Gone Hallmark, which is obviously all things Hallmark, and we have a second, more personal Instagram, which is Megan and Wendy.
If you guys want to talk about all things Hallmark, come and hang out in our private Girls Gone Hallmark Facebook group. I think it's a fun space to connect with other fans. We got a ton of people over there who are just loving all of the new Hallmark content.
And we love to hear from you, so you can always email us, girlsgonehallmark@gmail.com. And if you are overwhelmed by the sheer volume of content and information coming out of Hallmark, we try and break it down for you on our website, girlsgonehallmark.com. It's not only Hallmark news, but there's a lot of fun things over there. If you want a roundup of Hallmark movies set in Ireland or Hawaii or along a specific trope, or a Hallmark summer movies checklist, we've got all of those things and more to come. Even some fun printables and games. So check out girlsgonehallmark.com.
Hey, Megan.
Hey, Wendy.
Let's talk about how Hallmark Channel reposted your video from the other day.
It's a real highlight of my Hallmark content creating career, I have to say.
Sure.
I need to tell the people that even though it was my face on the video, Wendy was like, hey, make a video and discuss these things. So Wendy gave me the outline and I just put it in. This was a real team effort. I really appreciate it. Everything you talked about.
Well, I have to say, it was super exciting to see. I was so excited. You made a great video, and I was happy to see them share it. But in terms of Hallmark Plus, I have to say, so far, so good. It's not as clunky as Hallmark Movies Now was. So it seems like they've done some back-end upgrades, which makes me happy. And I really like how they have organized it.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about because my app still says Hallmark Movies Now, one of our TVs had automatically updated. We turned it on and it was the Hallmark Plus logo, and the other one had not. So if that's the case and you're logging in and you're still looking at the old interface, go to whatever version your device uses as an app store and run an update, and then you should have the new version. I also wanted to share, early in the morning, someone had reached out and said, do you know if there's going to be a way to track viewing the way there is with like the Hallmark checklist app? Because at that point, Hallmark Plus didn't exist. And I actually messaged someone high up on the Hallmark team about that. And then shortly thereafter, the shows did appear in the Hallmark checklist app under a Hallmark Plus banner.
Oh.
So I am going to just live under the delusion that we had something to do with that. But regardless, if you love to use the checklist app for tracking your viewing, you can do that for the new Hallmark Plus shows as well.
Hallmark's like, hot damn, will you just hold on a minute? We're
down,
a
lady.
team of people here, and we're doing all the work we can.
We're trying to launch an app. My goodness.
All right, let's talk about Chicken Sisters. Is it the Chicken Sisters?
It is.
Or just, it is the Chicken Sisters? Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that I am calling it the correct title.
I hear you.
My first question is, did you finish the book?
I have about 5% left in the book. We're just like at wrapping up stages at this point.
Okay, so I'm going to read a synopsis for episode 1, Family is Family. Amanda signs up her husband's family's fried chicken restaurant for a reality TV show called Kitchen Clash. It will compete with Amanda's mom's family fried chicken restaurant, but only if Amanda can get her estranged sister May to come home and help their mom for the show.
The Chicken Sisters episode 1 was written by Annie Mebane. She's also an EP on the show, and her previous writing credits include Bad Monkey and Shrinking, both on Apple TV Plus, as well as the Goldbergs, Community, and Happy Endings. That information alone is like this show is operating on a higher level.
I agree. Shrinking, such a great show on Apple TV. Happy Endings, one of my favorite 2-season sitcoms, 3-season sitcom maybe. I loved it. Jimmy Gatewood directed this episode. Jimmy has directed 27 projects, including Girls 5 Eva, Survival of the Thickest, Ghosts, The Big Leap, and The Babysitter's Club.
The Chicken Sisters was adapted from a New York Times best-selling book and a Reese's Book Club selection, as in Reese Witherspoon, by the same name, written by KJ Dell'Antonia.
Margot Martindale voices the narrator. Margot has 131 acting credits with 6 Emmy nominations and 3 Emmy wins. Listeners might recognize her from her role on The Americans and Justified, as well as the recent Peacock series Mrs. Davis, where she plays Mother Superior.
Leah Thompson plays Nancy. Leah has 112 acting credits, including, of course, Back to the Future and her role on Caroline in the City. This is her second Hallmark project, having appeared in Next Stop Christmas, a movie with a Back to the Future homage.
She also appeared in one of my all-time favorite John Hughes movies, Some Kind of Wonderful. Wendy Malick plays Augusta, or Gus for short. For readers of the book, this is the character previously known as Barbara. Wendy has a deep resume of 197 acting credits that include 149 episodes of Just Shoot Me, 125 episodes of Hot in Cleveland, the Netflix series The Ranch, and the sitcom Young Sheldon. As far as we can tell, this is her first appearance on Hallmark. Barbara is the name of the character in the book?
Yes.
I wonder why they changed it.
Well, and there's a character in the book named Gus who's not in the series.
Interesting.
Yeah. Skylar Fisk plays Amanda. Skylar has 28 acting credits, including a role in the 2002 movie Orange County, co-starring Colin Hanks. She also appeared on the CW series Heart of Dixie, a show that bears a strong resemblance to the Chicken Sisters, I think.
Genevieve Angelson plays Sister May. Genevieve has 27 acting credits, which include recurring roles on The After Party, New Amsterdam, and The Handmaid's Tale.
Cassandra Sawtelle plays Frankie. Cassandra has 32 acting credits. She has previously appeared in one Hallmark project, Tip Line Mysteries, Dial 1 for Murder.
Kelsey Mwema plays Lindsay, Sabrina's daughter. Kelsey has 26 acting credits and has appeared in one previous Hallmark project, Sealed with a List. Her other acting credits include Life with the Walter Boys, Totally Killer, The Babysitter's Club, and all 3 movies in the To All the Boys I Have Loved Before series.
Rukia Bernard plays Sabrina. Rukia has 83 acting credits, which include her role as Hannah in all 4 Christmas and Evergreen movies. She also appeared in 11 episodes of Yellow Jackets, and what little I know about that series makes me seriously concerned for the fate of her character after season 2, episode 1, where she no longer appears.
I gotta tell you, I'm so happy to see her in this.
Me too.
She hasn't been in a ton on Hallmark lately.
She's been working a lot, but not a lot on Hallmark. All right. If you're a regular listener of Girls Gone Hallmark, you know we have a format that we use for our movie reviews, but we switch it up a little bit when it comes to our series reviews. We had a standing format for The Way Home, and we're using a similar format here, diving into some of the details of the show, our thoughts. It's not a full minute-by-minute recap, but we will recap some of the key events. So let's get into it.
Go for it.
So this is the pilot episode of the series. There's a lot of introductions happening here. Introduction of backstory, introduction of characters. We really kind of run down the line. So we start with, obviously, the introduction of the Franny's versus Mimi's feud. A baby daddy based feud, if you will. And I wonder, I think the feud in the book was different, but I wonder if we get some resolution on that in the series, because there was some contention over the truth behind the feud.
If the feud was based on the baby daddy situation, does this mean then these two families are more interconnected than if they were just two rival families?
Well, That is addressed in the book. Like,
Oh, okay.
they're like, we're going to let that go. We meet matriarchs. We have Nancy, played by Leah Thompson. And I have to say that in all of the promotion of this show that I saw prior to reading the book and knowing who the characters were, and as I was listening to the book and started piecing together who everybody was in my mind, I was a little bit surprised to find out that Nancy, while a main character, to me is not the lead character in the show. But she has been almost marketed as the center of the show. Do you feel the same way?
In terms of marketing, yes.
Yes.
I feel like they're like, we have Leah Thompson. That's a big name. Wendy Malick as well. But yes, I feel like she's been marketed as this main character.
Well, and speaking of Wendy Malick, I actually think, based on what I know about the book, based on how this first episode played out, I mean, I think we're going to get more of a hefty storyline from Wendy Malick's character, who, of course, does play Augusta/Gus. She's Amanda and May's mom. Also, she runs Mimi's, the more down-home basic of the two chicken restaurants. And we've got Amanda. She's the sister who stayed, but was also exiled from Mimi's because she married the son of the rival chicken restaurant owner. It's all very high stakes. Okay. We also have May, the sister who wanted more. She hosts a home edit style show called Sparkling.
I have so many thoughts as you're going through this, but go ahead.
We meet Frank Jr., who's Amanda's husband. And I need to point out here for listeners of the book, Frank Jr. is only mentioned in the past because Frank Jr. is not alive in the book.
Oh, interesting.
And here's a major divergence from the book to the series because Frank Jr. is going to be a part of a pretty big plot line, it seems to me, that we'll discuss in a little bit. Obviously, that doesn't occur because she is not married. She is a widow. Amanda is a widow in the book.
Oh.
I have some thoughts on that, but we'll get into that in a minute. We learn a few things about our characters. Of course, we meet Frankie, who is Amanda's daughter, who's really great at being a teenager. We meet Sergio, the cook at Mimi's. We learn Amanda and Frank are potentially not all that happily married. Frank Jr. kind of sucks. We also learn that May and Sabrina, the host of Kitchen Clash, is that what it's called? It's called something different in the book. It's called Food Wars in the book, by the way. Okay. They have history, but we don't know what it is, so they give us something to look forward to. And perhaps the heaviest part, we learn that Gus is a hoarder and that this has affected her children in different ways, but probably had a stronger effect on May, the older daughter, who experiences panic attacks since her childhood.
Yes. Can I give you some of my thoughts? I thought that they did a really great job in getting so much information into this pilot episode. I mean, it's like 43 minutes, right? But they packed it, and I thought it was great that they used a narrator. Was there a narrator in the book?
No. It's told from the alternating perspectives of Amanda and May in the book.
Oh, interesting. Well, I love that they use the narration because it does help enhance who the characters are, and I think gives more context, especially when us as viewers are coming into a story that has years and years of history.
Yeah.
So I really like the choice that they did that. But back to, like you said, in this pilot episode, we get so much. We get the backstory of the feud between the restaurants. We get how Amanda, I know it's kind of stupid, but how she ends up working at Franny's. You know, she falls in love with
Frank Jr.
We get that we have an understanding that Amanda feels isolated and unfulfilled in her life, which to me, I was like, oh, now we're going somewhere. You just mentioned about how May has panic attacks and is dealing with childhood trauma from her mom's hoarding situation. These are topics not commonly seen on Hallmark. And I really really like it. I feel like there's a lot to unpack with this story of these two families, and especially like Gus and the daughters and whatever. But I feel like marketing wise, Hallmark was just like kind of glossing over like, oh, it's rivalry between these two chicken restaurants, which interested in me. But now that I'm into the first episode, I'm really into it.
It's definitely a character-driven show.
Yeah, and I like it. I like it. I thought we might get sort of like how we've seen in Hallmark movies. We've seen like, you know, rival bakers, pie makers, whatever.
Yeah, this is head and shoulders above any of that.
I absolutely agree. And we have been talking a lot about quality versus quantity on Hallmark lately. And I feel like this is A+ quality. This is on par with The Way Home. Different story, but on par with quality-wise.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Let's dive into our thoughts on some of the characters. Can I tell you who stands out to me the most watching this first episode in terms of spot-on casting? And it's Wendy Malick as Gus. First of all, I think top to bottom, the casting was really well done. And I say this as a person who just read the book. So I had visions of these characters in my head, and seeing them come to life on screen in my mind, I'm like, that's exactly who it should be. Now, of course, I knew the casting of this series before reading the book, but I didn't know every single character. And watching the way they bring these characters to life, I think Wendy Malick, though, is running away with it. I just love her as the hard to love Gus.
Yeah, very similar to Dale.
Yes.
Not Dale. Dell.
Oh, Dell. Forgot her name when you said that. Yes, it is Dell.
This character of Gus, I'm afraid of her a little bit. Wendy Malick plays this character so perfectly intimidating with that nasty mean streak, but I'm into it. Like, I want to know, why is she so angry?
Well, and I think we know a little bit, right? And we know that she has a hoarding problem. And so that I would imagine that's something she carries shame about. I would imagine that's something she feels very protective of. That's information that she doesn't want people to know about. And so I think she, for that reason, puts up a wall. They're also hinting at something else going on with her that I suspect has something to do with why she's challenging. But these do not seem to be new developments with her. I mean, you see young May and young Amanda, and she's angry even when they're children. So yes, what happened to make her that way?
Now, going back to what you said, what hints are they hinting at? What did I miss? I mean, she was fooling around with that dude in the refrigerator, but other than that,
I don't think they were fooling around. Now, maybe that's the image that they gave you. And of course, I have information from the book, but I did not get the impression that they were getting freaky in the
Oh, I got the impression they were fooling around in the deep freeze.
I could be wrong.
Interest is
I actually think that guy has a husband on the show.
Oh.
I don't think we've fully met their characters, but you know the guy that runs the coffee shop?
Yes, the guy from Ride. Jake Foy from Ride.
Yeah. And just quick little aside, we did not run through every single character because there are a lot of them. We will have additional news and notes coming in future episodes for those who are completionists. But I think that's his husband.
Interesting. Now that I think about it, was he standing behind the counter with him? The guy that was in the deep freeze with Gus?
Yeah, I thought I saw him in the coffee shop.
He was. You are. I'll pay closer attention.
What other characters stood out to you?
Well, Amanda, I really like when Hallmark gives us characters that have a lot of depth and who are very relatable. And I feel like Amanda is in this kind of transition in her life. She's not super happy at home. Her teenage daughter is challenging. She misses the earlier ages of her daughter. She wants to know what's next. And I feel it's very relatable. It's very interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. Another character that stood out to me is the character of Frank Jr. And I just want to say he sucks.
Frank Jr. does suck.
He sucks so much. He's so unlikable. Obviously, that's the point. I want to bring it on home in our next segment. But well done on the part of that actor, really sending it through. Likability is spot on.
Yeah, I agree. One more thought. Nancy, Frank Jr.'s mom, I actually feel real sad for her. I am rooting for a romantic storyline for her. I just feel like if this show is going to have any sort of romantic storyline, who are they going to give it to? It has to be Nancy.
Well,
I don't even say it. It is a red flag warning over here. It better not be between Amanda and Sergio.
Can we move on to some additional thoughts we have?
Sure.
When I saw the way Sergio was looking at her, now knowing from the book, she is widowed. She is available. She does have a love interest by a different name who perhaps plays the same role in the restaurant. Oh. So when I see them have this intimate moment where he's sharing food with her and watching her walk away, I'm like, hold on. This woman is married with a child, happily married, no. But she seems to still very much want to find happiness with Frank Jr. While she may be disillusioned with the path of her life, I don't think she's 1 foot out the door.
I think she's unhappy with the lot that she's been given, but yeah.
So and I am all caps nervous about this storyline.
Me too. And I can understand her because they set that scene up. She comes home with dinner and he's like, is that what you brought home? And, she wants to have like sexy time with him. And he's like, I'm going to bed or whatever. So to be seen by another man, of course, like, yes, but
if your needs aren't being met at home, you're going to find someone who meets your needs.
What are we doing here? I mean, it happens in all kinds of entertainment. It happens in real life. So like, am I going to sit here and grab my pearls and be like, oh my God, they're going to get together and she's married? I don't know what they're going to do. I'm excited to see how it plays out, but I'm like, I can't believe we're going down this road.
I don't know what they're going to do either. And it could just be a very nice way to add a ton of conflict on screen with these characters. I'm really excited about the introduction of the character Lindsay. This is not a character that existed in the book. Lindsay is Sabrina's daughter. This gives Frankie, Amanda's daughter, a counterpart. Look, if you're going to turn a book into an 8-episode series, you're going to have to flesh things out a little bit more. And so I like the elevation of Frankie. I like the introduction of Lindsay as an unlikely friend.
Yeah, and especially like opposites too. Yeah. Well, and not total opposites, just opposites from like where they come from.
Yeah, opposite experiences.
Yeah, I like that too. I mean, the gal that played Frankie, whoa. I was like, are they living in my home right now?
Yeah, nailed it.
Nailed the teenagers. Totally.
Let's talk about your questions.
Okay. I'm curious, in the book, do they go into depth about the childhood of May and Amanda?
And there is one kind of extended scene in the book that sets up a little bit more of the rivalry and why her mom was so protective of Mimi's. It's unclear to me whether they're going to go that route at this point.
Interesting. And then my other question is, why do you think they didn't make Amanda a widow in the show?
I think it makes it more interesting. There's more conflict. They're, I think, doing a nice job of setting herself up as someone who's struggling with her place in life. And I think that's going to include struggling with her marriage and the state of it, either finding her way back or finding her way out. I just think it sets us up for some more choices.
Do you think this is going to be beyond 8 episodes? Will it come back for a season 2?
Oh, I do. I think the way that the book ends, again, some divergence there, sets it up for the ability to continue.
Got it. Okay, those are my questions.
All right, let's talk some Cluckworthy moments. Some moments that we loved.
There were some great one-liners in this episode, that things I've never heard on Hallmark before, ever. If I may, quote, white trash. Never heard that on Hallmark before. Ovulating. Never heard that on Hallmark before. Wouldn't kick him out of bed. Never heard that before. And 2 more. Pissed. Never heard the word pissed.
Really?
In a Hallmark episode. Never. And finally, the one that actually made me LOL was when Amanda asks Nancy, is that a push-up bra you're wearing? I couldn't believe it, but loved it.
Like you, I have some great lines that I loved. The writing was spot on. The line when she's talking about writing into kitchen class and they're like, on TV, she goes, it's technically streaming. Loved it.
Oh, yes, that was great. That was great.
Amanda talking about wanting a baby, and Frank Jr.'s like, I already gave you one. And she's like, but she's old and mean now. Parent of a teenager right here. I can fully relate. I loved her interaction with Frankie. First, she walks in and she like tries to see what's on her computer. She's like, it's weird perverted stuff. That's excellent. And then as Amanda leaves, she's like, whatever, just do whatever you want. And Frankie's like, you should write a parenting book.
Yes.
So good. When she's meeting with the execs from Sparkling and they're talking about advertisers and they're like, you kind of have an anti-stuff attitude and we have advertisers who sell stuff. I just love the cadence. And finally, when Amanda is scrolling on her phone in bed and she opens an ad and the music blares from her phone, who among us has not done that as their partner is asleep in bed and you shove it under the covers? So good.
Yep. Hey, did you also notice that she was actually looking at Instagram?
Yes.
Yeah. I like it that it wasn't some fake app that she was looking at.
Forgive the puns, but we like to call it a character every single week who really brings it. And it will be no surprise that my feathered friend of the week is going to be Gus / Wendy Malick, who is bringing the drama in episode 1. Who is it for you?
I think it is. Oh God, I don't know. I think it is Frankie, played by Cassandra Sawtelle. I thought she played a perfect teenager.
Truly. I agree. I was running through the bios of these actors to prepare for this episode. And of course we have the narrator, Margot Martindale. We have Leah Thompson. We have Wendy Malick. But beyond that, the rest of our supporting cast, not Rukia. Rukia is pretty solid, but they're new-ish. And I just am like, please let this be such a vehicle for these actors because I think they're all in such great roles. So
yeah.
My first impression of this episode is gimme more.
I would say mine is people should subscribe to Hallmark Plus.
For this alone.
I'm not being paid. I wish I was. I wish we were being paid by Hallmark Plus to promote them, but
no, they don't even have an affiliate link.
No. But it's a good show. You're gonna be disappointed if you're not watching it.
You will be missing out.
Yeah.
Next week, our Chicken Sisters recaps will drop on Wednesdays in between new movie recaps. And speaking of Hallmark Plus, we are going to be reviewing some new collections like The Jane Mysteries and Love on the Danube. So keep your eyes out for those in your podcast feed. Thank you for listening to this episode of Girls Gone Hallmark. If you love this podcast, we absolutely love your 5-star ratings and reviews. And the best place for you to leave them is in the Apple Podcast app. You have to use the app, find our show, scroll down, tap the 5 stars, and type a few words about why you love this podcast. We'll be back next week. Thanks. Goodbye.